In case you haven't tried it yet, the app for Splendor is absolutely amazing. It's so well made. I'm going to take on 3 other AI players just to show you the app and maybe give you some strategy tips. This is Legendary Tactics. The gameplay on this is really smooth. I love the graphics interface, and it's a bit nerve-wracking. I normally only play this with 2 or 3 other players live, and haven't played against the AI a lot, but it certainly will pose a bit of a challenge, I'm sure, especially since I'm not an expert. My goal in the early game typically is to maximize my residual income, so to try and get as much of the cheaper level 1 gems that will allow me to power up and get some of the higher level gem cards, which are actually worth some points. I also want to keep an eye on the royal visitors along the right. If you can get the passive income, residual income up to a certain high level, then you would get those points as well. And I'm hoping if I can score enough of those, it'll power me to victory. So I'm just kind of looking at the mix of gems along the bottom, trying to figure out a combination of that might enable me to buy potentially 1, 2, or 3 different cards. Mainly because I want to make sure that if the other players grab one on me, that it's not the end of the world, because I've got other options that I can turn to if that happens. The natural mechanism of Splendor is that if you don't end up with anything to buy and you're picking up gem after gem, the little coins on the side, then eventually you're going to get to the point where you're going to have so much of those that you can't help but spend. So even though you're limited to 10, there's got to be a combination that'll allow you to buy something. So my goal is to basically buy gem cards as quickly as I can to get those up there. And I'm looking at not only the visitor cards, seems to be that rubies and emeralds are very highly represented in that mix. So that's generally speaking where I'm gonna go for. If I look at the cards that are worth a lot of points at the top there, seeing a lot of ruby and emeralds there. So far I have 1 ruby passive one, and I'll get that one, so make sure I can snag another one. Even in the mid-tier there, well, at least there was a lot of ruby cards there, although it's generally trending a little more blue there. So something to think about if there are blue cards that appear along the bottom. But for now, I'm just going to stick to my strategy of building up the reds in the early game, grabbing kind of a diverse mixture of gems. So again, keeping flexibility top of mind. As I said, I'm not an expert Splendor player. I've played a few games. I know the game pretty well, but I wouldn't say that. I'd say that I'm a little more towards intermediate level. But for a beginner, that's what I generally recommend, is just keep your options open. Try and make sure that you are buying the cards that are in front of you, but don't forget about the long game either. You can see that, for example, not a lot of diamonds along the top tier, so even in the mid tier, really. So you might want to lay off those. As far as building the residual cards up, you just kind of you want to be basically first to arrive at the milestones, having the visitors and the cards at the top, so you can rocket to the end. Usually what happens is someone will get to the finish line, and then it's a race to see who can get to the last number of points to speed past them at the last minute. That's kind of how this works. So yeah, I'm basically aiming to build up my rubies and emeralds at this point, the red and green, because they're featured so prominently in the top tier and on the visitor side of things. And I'm at 2 and 2 on that front. With 4 players too, you find a lot of times the card that you're aiming for is really hard to count on. You certainly have to, react. You can plan somewhat, but you also have to react. I took that brown one mainly because there's so many brown ones required on the bottom row. So it's always good to have that. You got to stay flexible in your gameplay, and you have to stay flexible with your residual income as well. Don't stay too focused on one stream of income, but because you're going to need many different types of income in order to get to where you eventually want to end up. So I'm thinking about this one, which one's the best to get. Probably grabbing a blue one will allow me an option along the bottom row, and that's where I want to aim for. The pace of this game moves pretty quick, which is nice on one hand because the game plays fairly quickly, but on the other hand, it's tough to figure out exactly what everyone else is up to. Yeah, I think we'll grab this blue one, especially as there's some blues that have popped up on the bottom row. And there's a lot of blues actually on the top as well, so it doesn't hurt to grab those. Aiming for the 6 of one color, I see those as being, it's a stretch goal. I mean, you might be able to get there, but it's only if the circumstances work out. I wouldn't build a strategy around getting 6 of one color possible, just because of the concentrated effort it takes to get there. And again, a lot of the time the game kind of demands that you've got a diverse pool of income from gems, because that certainly attracts the royal visitors, and a lot of the cards along the top generally require multiple types of cards. There I'm going for a specific card that I want those diamonds for. I want to make sure that we're getting the key ones that we want here. Well, lots of greens along that bottom row, so that's fine with me. I don't mind taking them. And if I can buy them without actually spending a real coin, then that's the best way to do it. But if needs be, I'll spend one here and there just to get that boosted up. I like where my greens are. I'm actually just two away from getting the middle royal and a couple away from getting the top royal. So just need to see how the cards break out here. My strategy at this point is, now that I've got a decent amount of kind of residual income in all areas, if I can buy a card per turn, as long as it isn't moving me away from my goal, which at this point I'd still say diamonds are kind of not what I'm really looking to grab, except as a means to an end. I want greens, I want reds, and if something like a blue is part of that and it doesn't cost me anything, then I'm fine with that. Again, I'm just one blue away from the top row, and I need one red as well, and just a couple away from grabbing that middle royal as well. So I've fallen behind in points, but at this stage it's still early, and it's interesting to watch the way the game's unfolded. There's not a lot of middle cards being bought, I think, because again they're pretty pricey. Not a lot of sort of balanced costs there. It's either you're all in on emeralds or all in on blues, or you're all in on rubies or whatever. It's I think that's why basically everyone's having to buy the bottom tier cards. Oh, I like that ruby, I think could be good, and also that green. So yeah, looking just to grab that last ruby. It'd be nice if it's still there when I get there, and odds are it will be. I'll see what happens here though. We've run out of bottom tier cards. Okay, perfect. That gives me my top royal, so that gets me finally on the scoreboard. So now we're tied for first, but it's a close game. And now with all the lower cards all run out, it might be a while where everyone's grabbing tokens here, because unless we've got 6 of something or 5 of something, we're not going to be able to buy any of the cards that are available. I'm just going to see if I can focus my purchase. Now, it blocked me from taking that other emerald there, and I'm not sure why. It must be a player count restriction on that. One of the nice things about these games is the rule enforcement. So, and it's now blocked off those ones as well. So I'll just grab a mixture of what's up there. I'm sure there's rules as far as monopolizing the one gem type. And the second AI has jumped out to 5, so I'm falling behind here. But, you know, just working my strategy. I can now buy that 2-point card on the side. And I'm not too far away from buying the other diamond one. Hopefully there'll be some cards that open up as well, as the other players get some purchasing power and they can reset the cards. No, he's probably going for the same one I am, or one a layer up. And he took the one I wanted, but luckily there is another option there for that green. Yeah, still waiting for rubies and still waiting for emeralds, but we'll hold on to this blue guy. I think the blues are sapphires, aren't they? And at least that'll line us up for the bottom royal as well. So we'll see if we can set ourselves up for a couple of potential wins. So I can buy one here, but I'm just gonna move ahead with my blue strategy. I still see diamonds as a little bit of a distraction at this point. So I think we'll just spend our yellow token and get that blue. So now we're in good position to get that bottom royal. We just need the emerald. And we are set. That emerald at the top is super expensive, so not sure if we can get there easily. Grab this one. It'll cost a few of our precious tokens, but we're getting up to a nice residual on basically on all fronts. So just a matter of the right card turning up, and that guy might be it. No, but he's gonna take it from us. Oh, that's all right. Well, we got a ruby replacement, so we'll grab that guy. And that puts us in place for... See, we got a lot of royals lining up here. A diamond would give us the top royal. An emerald would actually give us 2 potential royals. No, he took that one on us. That's okay. He's up to 12 though. So we're getting down to the final stage of the game here. So we got to be a little bit careful. I'm going to focus on getting that emerald though that we need. Green is all I'm focused on right now. And oh, that's a good one for us. I think we'll take that. And we've actually qualified for a couple royals. Unfortunately, we can't take both. We'll just have to choose one. But we're actually not far off. You know, getting some other high points cards as well, but it's getting close. So he's at 14, so we'll see. Oh, there we go. So the second AI has triggered the end of the game, and we're 2 points back, so we really have to watch it here. But fortunately, when we buy this diamond, that actually, now we get the second royal because we requalified for that, and that puts us ahead, and we win. So I hope you're able to gain a few ideas there for as far as tactics go. Great game and great app. I really recommend it. This has been Legendary Tactics. Please like and subscribe.